going on, everybody? Week one of the NFL is complete, and we're taking a look into week two, getting ahead of it, seeing what the early spots, early props, early picks look like, seeing how all the game lines shake out, knowing how everything squared away with week one. So let's dive into it. Trying to look for two future plays in this video. Looking at mostly game lines. I don't like to do props until we're closer because you just don't know, injuries through practice, how people feel after the first week. Those props tend to be a little bit sharper or maybe not all available until later on. But if there's any future lines that we're just like, yeah, there's no way that's staying that way, we might jump on them. So let's dive in. We got Commanders, Packers. Got plus 3.5 here on DraftKings, and we got an over 48.5. This game is a pretty difficult one to, figure out. Obviously, the Packers looked very good week one. Put the Detroit Lions and made them look like a college team. But Lions are trying to figure out a new offensive coordinator, a new scheme. The Packers came out with essentially all the same key pieces. So hopefully, they had their defense rolling. That Lions defense did not look good. And then you had the Commanders. Went up against the Giants and did not look good. Did not look like old Commanders. Last year Commanders did not look like how Jaden Daniels typically runs that team. The defense, granted, the Giants aren't good, but there was possibilities, there was opportunities for that Giants offensive if they were able to, make some plays, make some catches. So even the Washington's defense didn't look amazing. So I think all in all, I'm staying away from this game because it's a get right game for the Commanders, and then the Packers just looked really good. So I think this is gonna be a good game. If anything, I'm leaning the Commanders plus 3.5, but definitely not an official pick here. We got Bills Jets. We got a 7-point spread, and we got an over 46.5. So tough to say on the Jets. They came out and nobody was expecting what they did. 32 points against the Steelers. They were scoring multiple touchdowns. They're opening up the drive. They're opening up their year with a touchdown. They definitely looked good. On the flip side, though, typically the Jets defense is their strong point, and they gave up 34 points to a 90-year-old Aaron Rodgers led Steelers. So I don't really know how that's going to kind of square out, how that's going to look. Obviously, the Bills are the Bills, but anytime the Bills play the Jets and they are at MetLife, it's always a tight game. There's always a one possession game. So again, obviously the obvious money is on the Bills here, but I don't know if I'm really looking to dive into that one just with how historically the Bills have played with the Jets at MetLife. Historically, how the Jets have, their defense typically is their strong suit. And for them to give up all those points, I think it's going to be a Jets defense get right game. But at the same sense, I don't think that offense can maintain what they did last week. I don't think Justin Fields is the answer to their prayers. I think they just came out hot, firing on all cylinders, and it just all clicked that day. Can't see the defense, the Jets, keeping that going. Up next is one of the potential games we go into. Giants Cowboys with a 5.5-point spread. The Dallas Cowboys are 1 to 2 catches away from beating the Eagles. They're in there. I think it was a 3-point game or a 1 touchdown game. Dak throws 3 balls off CD Lamb's head and he doesn't catch any of them. Not very common. These Giants looked terrible. There was nothing good to say about the Giants. The only thing is that Jackson Dart is rumored to be playing. Dable did say that it is not a guarantee that Russell Wilson is playing the whole game. He said Russell Wilson will be our starter. Did not say that he'll be finishing the game. They said they will swap if need be. We don't know what to expect from the full team with Jackson Dart. That's kind of the only wild card in this game, but that Cowboys team is, they went up against the defending champs and they had a pretty good game going. So I just can't see why there's a 5.5 points game here. I'm thinking over a touchdown game. So Cowboys minus 5.5 is definitely a play to look at here. Next up, we have the Ravens Browns. Now, obviously, the Ravens basically handed that game away. The fumble at the end, terrible defense. Anytime there's 80 points scored in a game, I mean, both defenses aren't exactly doing their job, but 11 points is a lot, and it's 11 and a half. 11 points is a lot, and it's 11 and a half. So that's a 2 touchdown game. I mean, I could see the Browns picking up some garbage points, keeping this within a touchdown. Ravens get up big and then take out their starters. Browns score 2 touchdowns, get this within 10 points. But that's kind of how the game ends. I mean, it's 11 and a half points is a lot here in the NFL. And I don't really know if that's something. I mean, it's so hard to take the Browns, but that's a lot of points to kind of give. The over under here, again, I could see the Ravens going up so big that they take out their starters, which allows the Browns to score some points later in the game. And I could see this definitely going over in garbage time. The Ravens are up 30 or something, and the Browns score 2 or 3 touchdowns, late. That don't matter, but 14 to 20 points that get added on to them going 30, that's going to push you over here. Next week, we got the Niners and the Saints. Now, it's this Niners team basically just all walked into the hospital. George Kittle's out. Chris McCaffrey's got that calf injury. You got Brock Purdy apparently not questionable for week 2 with some shoulder pain, shoulder problems. I mean, it's not looking good for this Niners team. With that said, this Saints team's terrible. It was closer than I thought it would be, but it's not. They don't look good. I mean, you got Olave, who's going to get 75% of Spencer Rattler's passes, which take that as you will. It's Spencer Rattler. They're not great passes. And you got Alvin Kamara, who's going to run for his 100 yards a game, but I just don't think scoring is going to be something that the Saints are going to be able to do. I don't love this game. Plus, with the Niners, solid defense, but not looking very questionable on offense this early. Maybe if Kittle's in, Purdy's in, this line will obviously move. But then later on we might be able to look back at this. But right now we are leaving this game where it is. I don't like the Saints to be able to score, and I also don't know if the Niners will be able to score. So I don't really know how to play that game. This one is interesting. They're projecting it. I believe it was the highest game on the slate. It is. But in the same sense, what did we just see of the Bengals last week? I think Joe Burrow had 88 passing yards or 120 passing yards. I mean, it was not good. Jamar Chase had 20 or 40 yards receiving. I mean, it was terrible. Jaguars, they played an okay game. I mean, they're definitely nothing to run about. A big thing on the player prop side is that Tank Bigsby got traded, so ETN is your main back. He's going to have such a high carry volume now. He's definitely something to look at for props, but on a game line sense, I do think the Bengals do get right here and they do win. But I could see the Bengals winning by 20. I could see them coming in here, getting everything right. They're like, no, we're still the Bengals. Going out, Joe Burrow throws for over 300. Or I could see them, they start years slow. Generally we see the Bengals go 0-2. Granted, they won last game, but they shouldn't have. And I could see them coming into the second game, starting out slow once again. So kind of staying away from this just because of that. If this was week 10, I'm taking the Bengals points here, but at this point, we don't know what to expect from the Bengals, and I just can't kind of side with them on week 2. They've never historically started very strong. Then we got the Rams Titans. Now, Cam Ward did look pretty decent, and we know what to get with Matt Stafford. We know he's going to throw it to Puka Nacua 42 times a game. That's just what they're going to do. The weird thing is Tony Pollard on the Titans didn't really make a difference. Didn't really run much. Didn't even get his, I think, 44 yards. I don't even think he got that. I think that was his over-under. We do see a game here. I mean, obviously the Rams are the favorites, and I do agree with that. But I can certainly see an over here. I definitely like the over. And the other thing is I don't know if we're really getting at points. I mean, 5.5 to Tennessee, they did not look terrible. I mean, this Rams defense is definitely not known for being solid. So I don't like the points there for the Rams. I can certainly see this being a field goal game. Probably leaning off it because I'm just not feeling overly confident. The over is definitely more of a play here, but probably just staying away from this game for the early picks. Next up, the Seahawks Steelers. Sam Darnold came out and did not do very well. He did not throw like he typically does. He was not really settled into this offense. It was very obvious they were picking things up and trying to get moving, trying to get into a groove. Kenneth Walker did not run very well. That O line did not make a lot of gaps for him. Jackson Smith and Zigba is obviously going to be the main target. That was pretty obvious, getting most of Sam Darnold's targets. But if Sam Darnold's not going to pass all that much, does that really, affect that? And then we had the Steelers, which I think Aaron Rodgers kind of just came out and said, screw the Jets. And he played the best he's played in 10 years. But, all right, 10 years is exaggerating, but at least the last 4 or 5 years, that was definitely his best game by far. Don't know if he's really going to be able to reciprocate that. I think the Steelers come back down to baseline and you start to see, oh, okay, they're not the great Steelers team that we're looking at. They're just going to be another 500 team for Mike Tomlin and maybe not make the playoffs. With that said, I do like Seahawks money line here. For the reason that I think we see a serious regression in the Steelers offense. And I think we see a kind of settled in Seahawks offense. So I'm just not sure. I do like their money line. If you're not safe with that, I would go the +3 here. But I can certainly see this game going down to like a 1.5 spread as we get closer. Next up, we got Bears Lions. Now, even after the atrocity that the Lions put out there on Sunday, they're still favorites here against the Bears, which I do agree with, but this spread just seems too big. I think the Bears, knowing how close they were, knowing that they could have won against the Vikings, just kind of choked it away. I think we see things start to get, settled in under Brian Johnson. I do think, obviously, he left the Lions. He's going to want to go ahead and beat them. It's just hard because the Lions have the ability. They have the weapons. They obviously have a new offensive coordinator, so they got to figure that out. Their defense did not look great against Green Bay. So this is seriously a get-right game for them, a reminder of who they are. They still have Dan Campbell. They still have that energy there. I do think that based off of last week, this spread is different, but based off what we know from last year and the 2 years ago, that Lions team is solid. That Lions team can come out here and beat the Bears by 10, 12, 14 like it's nothing. So I am going to stay away from this game for that reason. Up next, we got the Patriots Dolphins. Probably the biggest letdown of the slate was the Dolphins game. I don't know what happened there. I don't understand how the Dolphins just let Danny Dimes look like Peyton Manning. But it was bad. It was bad. They couldn't throw, they couldn't run, they couldn't defend. Play calling was questionable. It's all around. They needed a shakeup. They needed to do something different. And until they do, I don't know if I'm really going to back this team. With that said, the Patriots looked okay. Drake May definitely saw an improvement from last year. Definitely going to probably see an improvement again this week. That was his first game coming back, seeing the snaps of the NFL. I don't hate a Patriots money line here. At the -102, I would have liked it being plus because of, their favoring Dolphins, but I really do think the Patriots come out here and handle business. I think they are able to exploit the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins try to get right, but they can't. I think that Tyreek at the beginning of the season said, I want to trade. they said they weren't really able to do it or they didn't want to do it. So he retract that statement. And then you see him freaking out on the sideline, yelling at people. I mean, that's just not good for your locker room. You got Tua yelling at people on the field. That's just not good for your locker room. You got Mike McDaniels making jokes at the press conference after you lost by 30 to the Colts. I mean, I don't think this organization is somebody to be taken seriously until we see something to be taken seriously. With that, I mean, that's definitely going to be a Patriots money line play. And then let's go back. I should say on that the Cowboys there. That's probably the two plays that we have right now. Certainly, we'll finish up this slate and see if there's anything else that stands out. But let's see. We got Panthers Cardinals next. Start off our 4 o'clock slate of games Sunday. The Panthers look bad. I don't know if it's time to start moving on from Bryce Young or what's going on there. But even, I mean, Chuba Hubbard couldn't really get going on the run line. Your offensive line couldn't really protect Bryce that well. They couldn't open up for run options. I mean, it just didn't look very good on the offensive side of things. The defense, the Panthers don't have a terrible defense. They've been very middle of the road the last couple of years. It's just they can't get an offense going. So until we see an offense, I do like the under here because I mean they can't get the offense. The Cardinals are good for a mid-20s game, but if what I'm thinking on this is if one team is carrying the points, you're probably not going to hit 45. So I don't mind an underplay here, but that's something we can always bet later. See if that line moves up, moves down. We'll see kind of where it is, but that's kind of how we're feeling. Then we got the battle of Peyton Manning's old teams. We got the Broncos and the Colts. We got a 2.5 point spread in favor of the Broncos. The over/under of 42.5. Bo Nix and the Broncos definitely looked good. They kind of handled things. They were able to kind of connect, open up the run game. Their defense looked solid. The Colts, I think, was just an anomaly. I think they just played what's going to end up being the worst team in the NFL and that just kind of made them look better than they are. I don't know if Daniel Jones is really somebody to put your money behind yet. Don't foresee him replicating that. I can kind of see a regression here in this game, which they do have the Broncos coming up. But once again, that's kind of a play for the over-under. Probably taking the under on the 42.5, thinking the Colts come back here and go, okay, yeah, no, that's the Colts we thought they were. 14, 17 points. Broncos get, 20 or 22, 24. You're kind of right there. I could definitely see this being a 24-17 game, something like that. But I don't foresee that. I don't mind. I mean, let's see what this is. Probably not going to be a pick right now. We're sticking with just the line, seeing if there's any, mistakes or anything like that and how we look. But 3.5. I mean, this allows them to win by 4. So if that's one team gets a field goal, one team gets a touchdown, it's 4 difference. And you're at plus odds with the Broncos. I don't hate that, but not something, like I said, we're picking this early. So staying away from that, just off those lines, I don't hate the minus 3.5 at plus odds, especially at plus 113. Next, we got probably surprised it's a 4:30 game, but probably should be a prime time. Eagles Chiefs. This will be a good game to watch. I do think they have it correct. I think the Eagles are going to be the clear favorites here. Again, very high-powered offenses, so probably staying away from the over-under here. Chiefs defense is still solid. The Eagles definitely had a little bit shakier defense. Probably not as solid as you would like, but definitely a good secondary, which, as we know, with the Chiefs, Worthy's out. Rashee Rice is suspended. Very, weak passing game for the Chiefs going into this. Hollywood Brown's your wide receiver 1. Probably not the best option. So I think the Chiefs definitely struggle here. Now, if we look at maybe team totals for the Chiefs, I mean, their over-under is at, where is their over-under? Is it 20? Oh, it's going to be 22, 23.5, somewhere around here for the Chiefs. I mean, 22.5 hitting the under. They get 3 touchdowns. I can certainly see that. See the 17 points here, 20 if you want to push it there. Think this Chiefs team definitely struggles in the passing game. Could definitely see Pacheco getting out there and doing what he does, getting back to a normal run game. But both those Chiefs passing game and running game did not look great for that Friday night game in Brazil. Granted, it was Brazil. Maybe things were different. Maybe the air is thicker there. I don't know, but Chiefs didn't look great. Taking the Eagles here, I don't mind hitting the under on this game. Probably look at Chiefs team total under rather than game under, but leave that for later on. Last game on Sunday, we have Falcons Vikings. Now, this is an interesting one. I don't know if I'm taking, the Falcons money line straight up, but I do believe Penix fits in better with the Falcons than JJ McCarthy looked with the Vikings. I do think Penix had more snaps, got more reception, more chemistry, more time under center. JJ, second half looked great, but we don't know if that was, the Bears falling out of it. The Bears came out hot in the first half, and then they kind of let up in the second half, and JJ took advantage. Just hasn't put a full game together for the Falcons, who I think is, the better team if you look at their first week. I think the Falcons are a better team overall, just due to the fact that, Penix looks more comfortable there. They're able to generate more offense. Now, if you look at just the second half, yes, the Vikings looked better, are probably better, but you got to put a complete game together. And until JJ, as McCarthy's able to do that, 4.5 seems like a big lay here. I mean, even going you go Falcons 3.5. That just seemed, a field goal difference. I don't hate the Falcons plus 4.5 here. Go ahead, we'll save that. We'll touch base after we touch on this one. Broncos, Texans. Texans did not look good. I don't know what happened there. Obviously, Tank Dell wasn't in, but the Texans did not look like the CJ Stroud-led Texans the last couple of years. They struggled in the passing game. They struggled in the running game. Defense gave up some points. And then that Broncos team, or not Broncos, the Buccaneers, they don't have Chris Godwin, but then they just look at Ibuka and everything was back to normal. I mean, you got Mike Evans and Ibuka splitting. Once Chris Godwin comes back in, you probably got 3 solid receivers for Baker Mayfield. I mean, I don't hate a money line play here. I do not hate a money line play on these Bucks going against the Texans here. Plus odds. Baker looked good. He was getting to his targets, hitting them, consistently throughout the night. The run game, because he was making those plays, the run game was getting to get a couple yards per run. So I definitely like that better than how the Texans looked week 1. And then lastly, we got a doubleheader on Monday. We got Chargers, Raiders Monday night as well. Chargers beat the Chiefs, and they look good. Chargers did look good. The Raiders are definitely better than most people had thought they were going to be. Able to kind of Max Crosby's in there getting disruptive. Gentry didn't really come out and make the waves that people were expecting, but definitely you could see the solid and the hopefulness of him making those plays. But Geno Smith getting settled in that Raiders offense, didn't look overly comfortable back there. They weren't able to protect him all that great. But he definitely has some options. Brock Bowers had over 100 yards, so there's definitely no problem with Geno Smith throwing. We saw him when he was in Minnesota. We saw him when he was heading that up. He definitely looked good over the Seahawks. So I could see him getting things right, settling into that Raiders. They become a middle of the pack team. But those Chargers, they looked good. I do like the minus 3.5 here on the Chargers. I want to see what it would be because I think the Chargers win by a touchdown here. I want to see what that looks like. If you just bump 4.5, 144. I mean, that's a pretty big jump. I don't think they go over a touchdown. I think that's a little aggressive, but 144 is definitely, not bad. But if you want to be a little safer, I do like taking the Chargers here, that -3.5. But let's see the 4 plays that we picked: the Patriots money line, the Cowboys -5.5, Falcons +4.5, and the Bucks money line. If we're, like I said, I kind of wanted 2 picks. I like the Cowboys -5.5 and the Bucks money line. I am going to go ahead. That's going to be our 2 picks for the futures looking into week 2. See how these lines kind of look come Friday. See if anything's changed or we want to change how we feel on either one of them. But I appreciate you guys for watching. Until next time. See you.